Mike Fleischman here for the 28th annual RRSN IFD Kickoff Classic, joined by Josh Shattuck, head coach of the Elkhart Lions. Coach, last time we talked, you're the head coach of Elkhart Central, and now, in addition to, of course, everything else that's going on in the world, I want to start with the consolidation, because you're looking at a team where half the kids you know, half the kids you don't know. How do you bring that environment where you've got rivals and known players? How do you turn that into one team?
Yeah, it's unique. I mean, thankfully it's been something that's been in the works for, it actually was approved before I even came to Elkhart from where we were previously. So the kids have been kind of gearing up for it, and the community have been gearing up for it. So it's just kind of a matter of once they made a coaching selection that, you just were ready to go. So, and I'd be lying if I didn't say that, after our season got done, that I didn't really start thinking about, some of those types of things. And if I were to, be offered the position, some of the things that we would do. So, it wasn't just like wake up one day and, well, what do we do? There was a plan. So it's been great. The kids have been awesome. We got a lot of work in December and January and February before all this COVID stuff hit. So we felt really good about, not missing out on that opportunity. So when we did get to hit the field and workouts in July, after the June, layoff and things like that, our kids had already built relationships and with their coaches and their new teammates.
Coach, when you get the team together, and of course right now, there's been some decisions made. There isn't going to be a week 1 on the schedule. Hopefully week 2 can continue, but some of the final decisions are not in your hands, and it's kind of out of everyone's hands. As a coach, how do you keep the players with you when you sit down in that room? There's so much uncertainty. How do you get their focus and their attention?
I think so much of it, what we've learned, is just organizational structure. Obviously, relationships are everything, but they will only get you so far if you don't have a good plan for what practice is going to look like and what their activities are going to look like. So just shifting gears to look more at their mental health of this and not, the ups and downs, because I know even as a coach, we can preach all the time, control the controllables, but that we've been challenged on that a lot. And so, it's just one of those things where we try to really have a plan every single second about it. And so that's what we're just moving forward with.
Let's take a look on the offensive side of the ball. Derek Wood's numbers stand out from last year, 1,000 all-purpose yards for the young man. Tell me a bit about what the keys to Elkhart Lions offense are going to be.
Well, offensively, we returned 3 starters on the offensive line, so that is a place where we have a couple gaps to fill. When I say return starters from both schools, put together, guys that had started last year. And then the quarterback position, we've got a 2-man battle right now between 2 seniors, Dylan Ross and Cam Wilfong, who both have had unbelievable summers, both really good kids, great leaders. We feel really good about our wide receiver positions. Jacob Holt's a returning starter. Tyron Mason's a Western Michigan commit, returning starter. We have Donovan Johnson, Rod Ballard, just a handful of kids that are good receivers. So, and then you had mentioned Derek, and Derek's just a really versatile player that we'll try to move around quite a bit.
On the defensive side of the ball, you got to talk about Rodney McGraw. This number of 20-plus tackles for loss, along with 9 sacks, tells you where he likes to play. He plays upfield. He plays in the backfield. That speaks for itself. But tell me what it can do for the rest of the defense. What can you do with your linebackers that you couldn't do without a great D front?
Sure. Well, first of all, it helps us because anytime we get in 3rd and long, people know he's coming, and he's just at the high school level. Pretty tough to pass pro on him. I mean, I haven't seen a tackle that is going to win against him at our level. But what Rodney has done is he's put on another 15, 20 pounds. So we really have challenged him to be the best run stopper that he can possibly be. So he's up to about 250, 255 right now. And that just makes it really nice. We got Zaris Dillon, who's a 300-pound, defensive tackle that he'll play right next to Rodney a lot of times, and that just gives us 2 big bodies over there who can move. But yeah, defensively is going to be the strength of our team. We just have so many guys who've played a lot of varsity football, both from Memorial and Central, with success on that side of the ball.
You have 2 weeks before a prospective game 1 on the season. What are some of your goals for the next 2 weeks? What does this team need to do to be ready?
Well, we've got 1 more week with our restrictions, and like you had mentioned, it is what it is, but it presents a huge challenge. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. We can't hand a ball off. We can't have any contact or any 2 people even touching each other or standing near each other, which makes it virtually impossible to have something that resembles football at practice. What we are able to do is lift weights, condition in places where it's safe and we can keep the distancing. And then we can throw the ball a little bit, so we've worked on our passing game, and we can line up a little bit defensively, but we've got to get through one more week of that, and then we've got to get back on the field because we just haven't had anything that simulates football. And we're going to have 2 days of practice to be able to do that on the 25th and the 26th to get ready for Mishawaka.
Coach, this is a strange time. I think everyone has a different perspective than they did in February of this year. What can the game of football specifically teach young men, and as not only about playing the game and sticking together as a team, but as they move forward in their lives?
Well, I think this pandemic and how it's affected us locally in Elkhart County is just it's a microcosm for a football game. There's momentum changes, things look really good, and then all of a sudden they don't, and you might disagree with a call from an official, you might disagree with a decision made by someone in your government and how it affects you, and or you might agree. I mean, it just the flow of all this is is one of the things that I've noticed, and I feel like this is a great kind of analogy for what a football game is like, and vice versa. So we try to draw on that with our kids, and just definitely gives us a better perspective on the importance of being together, and not just the wins and the losses or the big hits or the highlights, but just spending time with one another.
Coach, has the virtual environment taught you anything about not just your specific players, but about high schoolers in general? What has you get a different perspective on their lives when you're seeing into their living spaces and the Zoom meetings. Has that
Sure.
taught you anything?
Yeah, I mean the Zoom meetings were obviously in our situation with the school merger were a huge part of our off season because we're trying to install our system and we have no ability to do that in person. So we had a lot of Zoom meetings. We didn't focus a lot on scheme during the school year because we were trying to keep everybody eligible and just check in on them and make sure they were mentally doing all right, and just give them a little bit of social. Our guys would be laughing in those meetings and just everybody seeing each other. Then in June we kind of ramped up the scheme stuff because school was done. We weren't harping on them to get their e-learning assignments in and things like that, so we started to try to get a little bit ahead with football. But it is, I mean, if there's anything from this, I've seen the social aspect of all extracurricular activities, not just sports and athletics, but other extracurricular activities as well. Groups and clubs and band and things like that they're just such an important piece of these kids' lives and social networks that it's really important that we find ways to have those things.
Josh Shattuck, coach of the Elkhart Lions. Coach, great catching up with you, and best of luck.
Thank you, appreciate it.